Let's knit some family mittens by Yarnspirations.com. Welcome back to another Yarnspirations tutorial. I'm your host, Kristen Mangus of GoodKnitKisses. Let's get started. In today's pattern, you'll need a medium number 4 weight yarn. We're using Caron 1 pound in color aqua. To download your pattern, click on the link in the description below. Today we're going to make basic family knit mittens. You can make them for the variety of sizes in your household or give away as a gift. You can make several from one ball of Caron 1 pound yarn. I'm using color aqua. Here we're using color claret to make these beautiful red ones. There are 3 different sizes listed, and of course you can make some changes to fit your needs. You can make size 2 to 4-year-old, 8 to 10-year-old, or adult. Now, I've done a couple of tweaks on my own personally, but I'm going to walk you through exactly how to make them. I'll be showing mainly the one in the middle here, but I will talk about both sizes here. You only need 1 ball, and you can get 12 of the small ones, 7 of the medium size, that 8 to 10-year-old, or 5 pairs of the adults, or a variety of mixture in between. You're going to need a size US 6 needle or 4mm, or the size to obtain the gauge, and you will need a stitch holder. So let's go over some of these here. Now, if this is your first pattern, because this falls into the basic category, the beginner category of knitting, you may not be familiar. So let's go ahead and go over this here. There's just an example of one of the right-handed mittens. We're going to make a right and left-handed size. We've got a stitch holder. They also come in a larger size as well. You'll need a wide-eyed tapestry needle, whether that is metal or it has a bent end or plastic, whatever you want. You'll also need a measuring tape. A flexible one is really nice. You also need 1 pair of needles. You can use straight needles or you can use circular. Now, these happen to be interchangeable ones, meaning I can make this cord longer or smaller or change out the size of the needles. The size is going to be the same unless you feel like you need a little bit smaller or larger needle size for your gauge. But I'm going to show you a way to make this without using a stitch holder if you've got a circular needle. It's really cool. So I've got this cord here that's about 20 inches long, and you'll be able to manage and hold on to all your stitches and everything really well with this. So I've got a trick for you. Let's get right into this pattern. So on the pattern, you will find that it's a 2-page pattern, and on the front page down at the bottom underneath all your materials, you're going to see the abbreviations. Now, as you get used to reading patterns, these will come naturally for you, but if you need a reference and you don't know what something means, just come back to this spot here. You can also go to this website address and get more information on more abbreviations that you may not be familiar with. We are going to be working on the knit stitch and the purl stitch primarily. So if you haven't done those, we also have some basic videos available for you as well, and we'll have links to that in the blog. Also, we'll be knitting in the front and back, and that is an increase. I'm going to show you how to do all of these, so have no fear. There is a decrease as well, make it more stitches down to less, and we'll be using a knit 2 together. So once you know how to knit, you'll be able to do the knit 2 together very easily. We will also be casting on, which is just getting that yarn onto your needles, and we'll be casting off, which is taking the yarn off the needles, and we'll be seaming it and getting it all ready. So it's going to be worked back and forth in a flat panel, and then we will work the thumb section, and then we will seam that together, and then we will work up to this top section here and seam this together, and then pull down a seam all the way down to the side. And so you don't need to know that already. I'm going to cover everything for you. All right, so hopping in, when you're looking at the instructions are made for the smallest size, and so that's the first one labeled. If there is a necessary change to how many stitches there are or instructions, there will be parentheses. So you're going to look inside those parentheses and make sure that they coordinate with the color that you see across the top here for the sizes. Going down to the right mitten, this is the part that's worked first, and so we're going to cast on, get that yarn on the needles, and work a ribbing section. It's a 1x1 ribbing where there's a column of knit and a column of purl, and it alternates. And then when we turn it on to the wrong side, you're going to do the opposite to continue that along, and then you work to the length that you need. And if you're unfamiliar with this, when you see this first part here, where before the inch sign, that is in inches. And then right here is the metric. So you're still going to look at the color here. So this red one is going to be that smallest size. The orange is the medium, and the 3 is the largest or adult size. Okay. And then when you see at the end of the row here, these different stitch numbers, this is, or STS is stitches. And when you look at that number, that is just confirming to you, this is how many stitches you should have by the end of working this row. That way you can double check and count all your stitches and make sure you have enough. So if you're not sure, visit this number after you complete a row and make sure that you are good on that. Whenever you see this word stocking stitch, or you hear me say stockinette, it's the same thing. That's where all knit stitches appear on the front, and then you work a purl row on the wrong side, and so it actually makes a knit stitch appear on the front as well. And so you're just going to work that, and there's going to be several areas. So the main mitten is made in stockinette stitch or stocking stitch. We will be shaping the thumb, and it's called a gusset, and it makes it go wider, and then we'll work on making the length of it, and then we'll be putting it together. So we'll be covering all of this. You'll work on a right-handed mitten all the way down to the end and to the next page, and shaping the top, and then stopping here. And then when you make the left mitten, it's just a slight change, and you work between where you see these asterisk rows, these double asterisks. So you look for the double asterisks in the pattern, which is jumping back over here. So you're going to go to the double asterisk, which is on the right mitten, and cast on and work that first ribbing section and stockinette just as you would for the right. And then you jump back over to the left side again and shape the thumb gusset and work on that. And I do talk about that throughout the pattern. This is the only time I'm referring to these written directions here. So I just wanted to go ahead and have an overview for you, and I'll be referring to this pattern off to the side. You will need to download this pattern so that you have it next to you, and be sure and get a pencil or pen so you can take some notes if you need to, and you can check off whenever you've completed a row. All right, grab your materials and let's begin. I'm going to do a long tail cast on. Use whatever cast on that you prefer. I'm going to do long tail on this one. And I've got the tail part towards me and the ball part to the back. This is about 36 inches or so for the medium size. I'm going to place it right on here, or you can start with a slip knot, either one. Just keep it there with your finger. And we want to cast on 27 stitches for the smallest size, 35 for the medium, or 39 for the large. I'm going for the 35, which is that medium size. I'm going to place both of these in my hand, and I'm going to let go with my index finger and thumb, and we're split that yarn like this, and we're going to create a little heart here, okay? We're going to pull back. It's like a little slingshot, okay? So it makes a loop here where the thumb is and where this finger is. So we're going to go down and under where this thumb is and go up through the thumb and around and down where the finger is. And then we're going to go down where the thumb is. And then we're going to let go on the thumb and then pull on it. And we've got it nice and even tension here, so it's not too tight. It still can slide around. And we're going to do that again. So let's try that again. We're going to go hold it, split that yarn, pull back. Let's scoop up through the thumb, around and down where the finger is, and down for the thumb, and let it go. And then pull that up. So that's one stitch on there plus the beginning, so that's 2 stitches. Pull back and come up, go around and down again, let go. And you're just going to continue in this way, long tail cast on, until you get the amount of stitches you need. Either 27, 35, or 39. I'm going to continue with the 35, and we'll meet you back in a moment and we'll make our first stitch, our first row. Pause your video and I'll see you as soon as you're done. We're going to do our first stitch, which is a knit stitch. This is going to start our ribbing section. We're going to go right into that first stitch here, yarn over, and pull through this loop. Let the old one fall off, and the new one is right here. We're going to take that yarn and move it back between the needles here to the front and insert your needle into the front part of that stitch there, and then yarn over, wrapping that through, and then we're going to push that new yarn that we've wrapped all the way through to the back and make a loop. Let that other one fall off, and you've got a purl stitch on the front. Then we're going to move our yarn to the back again, and we're going to knit that stitch. Okay, so we're just alternating from knit to purl. Make sure your yarn is in front to purl, wrap around, push that through. If you need a slower video, we do have more on our channel, and I'll have a link below for that. Knit the stitch and purl the stitch and continue in your ribbing. So one by one ribbing, and then you will go all the way to the end, and you'll end on a purl stitch. Pause your video and meet me back up for row 2. Row 2 is on the wrong side, and we're going to knit purl. So we're purling the purls and knitting the knits. So we're going to purl the first stitch and switch our yarn to the back and knit the stitch. And you're just going to keep repeating that until the end, and your last stitch is a purl stitch. So these 2 rows form up your one by one ribbing, and you're going to work these rows until it reaches the length as described in the pattern. And you want 1.5 inches for the smallest size, 2 inches for the medium, or 3 for the larger or adult size. And depending upon if you've got like more petite hands or something, you might want to go a size up or down on the part that goes on your wrist, that ribbing. So just continue until you get to that length, and I'll meet you back up when you get to a second row. So when you are about halfway on this second row, meet me back up, and I'll see you then. Okay. All right, so I'm on a row 2, and I'm about halfway, and I'm about to be up to where the very center is and a purl stitch would be, and I want to knit 2 together. Now this is the row that's happening right before I'm ready to move on past my ribbing section, and we are on the wrong side. So we're just going to knit these 2 stitches together. So if you've never done that before, you just insert your needle into not the first one, but the second one, the second stitch, and then go through that second stitch and that first stitch together at the same time. See that? And then we just yarn over and pull that on through. And then that has decreased that stitch there, and we'll continue on with our stitch pattern. The next one should be a purl. So we're going to yarn in the front and purl that stitch and continue in your pattern, and meet me back up when you're on the next row. See you soon. Okay, I've finished our ribbing section. We've decreased in the middle, so you were down by 1 stitch count on all of them. And now we want to knit in stockinette stitch. And how we knit in stockinette stitch is just to knit across this row here. This is the right side row. And then when we turn our work, the wrong side is going to be purled. So you're going to purl the stitches all the way across. So continue working until you have 4 stitches in stockinette where you've knit a row, purled a row, knit a row, purled a row, and you come back. Now that is going to be for the smallest size, and you're going to have 2 more rows, so 6 total for the 2 upper sizes. All right, so pause your video and meet me back up after you have completed a few rows of stockinette stitch. Next, we're going to shape the thumb gusset. The first row is right side, and you are going to knit a series of stitches, and then we're going to make 2 increases next to each other, and then we'll knit to the end of the row. Now on the right mitten and the left mitten, this is nearly identical. The only difference is on the right mitten, you knit a couple of extra stitches more on this right side, and then you knit a few less when you do the left mitten. So it's about the same. You'll have to rewind back to here for the left side to kind of understand how to do it, but just to pay attention to the notes on your pattern for actually making a left knit one. Let's look at what a thumb gusset looks like. This is one that is started, it has a little bit longer cuff, so it's for a different size. And what's happening is we have the increases. This is a knit front and back increase here. And then the next time we come, we do 2 back to back. It looks like there's a stitch in between, but that's the nature of what it looks like when you make that kind of increase. And then we have the next one, and it increases and has that. And then we have 2 knit stitches here. And then we have our knit front and back. And then the next time we come to a right side row, we've got another one. And so it continues to increase. And depending upon your size, you may have fewer or more of these increases in between. So let's go on. So you're going to knit to your length, knit to the amount of stitches that you're told on here. The smaller size for the right mitten is going to be knit 13. And for the smaller size, you're going to knit for the medium size, you're going to knit 17, and the larger size, knit 19, and then we'll have 2 increases. On the left mitten, you will have 2 less than those numbers, and that's written again on the pattern. Okay, pause your video as you need. Go ahead and knit until the point of increase. Okay, so now we're ready to increase, so we're going to knit front and back of the stitch. So we're insert directly into the stitch, and we're going to yarn over and knit it. Now before we take it off of our needle, we're going to twist around to the back and pick up this stitch with our needle, and we're going to wrap around, yarning over again, pull it through, and you've created another stitch here. Okay, and then we're going to do it one more time. We're going to knit this stitch, and without dropping it off, we're going to flip it around to the back, pick that up, and knit that again. You're knitting into the back of that loop, and then let go. Now if you look at what you just did, the little bar that's created is the extra stitch where that back area is, and then right before it, it looks like a regular knit stitch. So you have 2 bars because we have 2 increases next to each other. You're going to knit to the end of the row, and then purl a row on the way back, and I'll join you back up for the next one. Pause your video, and I'll see you soon. Now you're on your next row here, and we've got the second and fourth rows are going to be purled. So all of our wrong side rows are always purled. This is a stockinette stitch here for the body of our mitten. So we're only going to deal with the right side rows here whenever I see you. So we're going to knit the first row. We're going to knit now we're going to start the third row, and we're going to knit the same amount of stitches that we did before and work up until we get to that knit front and back increase. And on the third row, you're going to knit 2 stitches between those 2 increases. So just continue knitting until you get to that point, and then make your increase and put 2 stitches, knit 2 stitches in between, and this is all sizes, and then make your increase again. So you're going to slowly start increasing it like this. Okay, so if you are on the size for the smallest one, you're going to do that a couple of times over until you've done an increase where you've done an increase and then had 4 in the middle, and then ended on a purl row. And then the smaller, the medium and the adult sizes will continue on. So just be sure and check your pattern. All right, so let me show you where we're going to add the 2 in. Okay, I've knit to my first increase here, knit in front and back, and then we're going to knit 2 stitches, 1, 2, and then we knit front and back, and then we knit to the end of the row, and then we purl. And then when we come back, we're going to do the same thing again and add 4 in between, and then knit to the end of the row, and then purl, and then that will end all those increases for the thumb gusset for the smallest size, and meet back up for the next rows on the larger sizes. To be clear, looking at the pattern, you're starting at row 1 for shaping the thumb gusset, and this is for all sizes. You'll work until you complete the 6th row, where we increase between the knit front and back for 4 stitches in between. Finish purling that last row, and then if you're on the child size, stop until we meet back up after that part that says for the adult only. This next section here, we're going to be working the extra stitches of 6 in between, and I'll give you more directions. Okay, so moving on for sizes 8 to 10 years, which is the medium, and the adult only, the 7th row, you're going to knit to the stitch number that you did before, and make your increase, and then you'll have 6 stitches in between the knit front and back, and then make your knit front and back increase and knit to the end of the row, and then purl on the wrong side. You'll do that again and knit 8 in between the knit front and backs to make the thumb gusset, and then that will be for the medium size. And only for the adult do you continue, and you go all the way up till you have 10 stitches in between the thumb gusset increase here. So you can see this one has gone on, and we'll just finish this up here. Okay. Okay, so we've got a knit front and back. Whoops. And knit 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you really have all the skills that you need to complete this thumb gusset area for all sizes. So continue following the directions, and the next time we'll meet back up, we'll start working on the thumb row. Pause your video, and I'll see you in a little while. Okay, we're in the part of the pattern that says all sizes next row, and it's right side, and you're going to knit 21 or 29 or 33, depending upon the size you're doing. So I'm going to work, mine is 29, and we'll work all the way, and we're going to turn our work when we get to that point, and I'll show you how to cast on 2 stitches. So go ahead and work until you get to that number. The smallest is 21, the medium or middle is 29, and the larger one is 33. Pause your video and I'll meet you there. Now, whether you are on the right or the left, if you're working the right mitten, then you're going to be working the numbers I just told you. If you're on the left, it's just 2 numbers less than the numbers I told you, and you'll end right where you'll see where that previous increase was. So you'll end right above where that was. Okay, so this is my stitch number, and now we're going to move on to casting on 2 stitches. So this is a critical part. You need to turn your work. So just stop where you are, flip it over just like you would if you were starting a new row, and then we're going to cast on. We're going to make a knitted cast on. So we're going to ignore these stitches here on the right hand side, and we're going to go right into this stitch here, and we're going to work it just like a knit stitch. We'll wrap around and pull through. Now we're going to take our loop and twist it. So we're just twisting, pivoting this needle, and then the needle that's on your left, it's going to insert inside the front of this stitch here and pick it up, and then drop it off with the right. Okay, so we're going to insert into our stitch, yarn over, pull it out to make a stitch, twist it, and then we're going to twist the opposite hand and go inside that stitch, okay, and pick it up, and we're dropping it off. So we've got 2 stitches now again where all these were that we just worked. Okay, all right, so the rest of our directions say slip remaining stitches onto stitch holder. So these are my remaining stitches. So I'm just going to pull this through, and this is going to act as my stitch holder. If you have a stitch holder, such as one that looks like this, then you would just pick the stitches up and put them on here. You can also put it on, of course, a larger one. You can put it on another cable holder or a scrap piece of contrasting yarn. Now we're going to work on the thumb row section. I've got my stitches on the stitch holder, and now I can just use this free needle that's here. Okay, and it may feel awkward at first, but once we get going, you won't notice this difference here, and it keeps everything together. So we're going to work into this first stitch and purl, and you're going to purl the number stated. So I'm going to do 14 for my size, so 10, 14, or 16, depending upon the size you need. Got 2, 3, 4, and continue going until you get that number. Pause your video and I'll see you at the end of that. Okay, so I've got my 14, and now we just need to turn our work. So just turn it like this, and you're going to ignore these stitches here. It says leave remaining stitches on stitch holder. So I just kind of push my needle through again and let it drop off. So now I have this stitch holder over here and a stitch holder over here, and I can just use this free needle now to start working on these stitches that remain. Okay, so we're just going to continue in stocking stitch or stockinette on these same stitches all the way across until it measures what we need. You're going to work on it for 1 inch for the smallest one, 1.5 for the middle, and 2 inches for the larger size, and end on a purl row. So you're going to end with the working yarn all the way on the right hand side. Okay, so continue working on that and meet me back up. Pause your video when you're ready for that next row at the bottom of page 1. See you soon. And we've worked to the end of our thumb section, and this is a stocking stitch working from the cast on. This is where we had added in these stitches here for the cast on. So you're going to measure from here until the bottom of your needles here to make sure you've got your length needed. And I want 1.5 inches for the one I'm working on now, which is the child size. You'll go to 2 inches for an adult, or only the 1 inch for the smaller youth size, the 2 to 4 years old. All right, so I'm at what I need, and no matter which size you're working on, you are going to knit 2 stitches together all the way across, and you'll be taking however many stitches you have and lowering by half. So we're just going to go simply into the second stitch here and then let it go all the way into the first stitch. So you're putting both of them together, going through just as you would normally knit one, and we knit 2 together by yarning over and then pulling that through, creating 1 stitch, and let these 2 drop off. That's it. And so we're just going to continue knitting 2 across, knit 2 together, and yarn over, pull that through, and you can see that that's being reduced. This is a decrease. So this is called a right-leaning decrease. It's not going to look like it's leaning any direction right now, but they're all going to be the same. That's just the type of decrease it is. So go ahead and knit all of yours across, pause your video, and we'll continue on. All right, come into this last stitch here, and on my size I've got 7 stitches left. On the smallest size you'll need 5, and on the adult size you'll need 8. Pause your video, let's go to the next step. So you want to break your yarn here, so we're just going to have a nice long tail that we're going to sew a little bit with. Okay, I'm going to get our tapestry needle out, and we are going to thread this through the remaining stitches. Okay, and this is just on these stitches that we just finished up. So you're going to go through and pick off all the stitches just for the thumb, and then draw this through, and we'll be sewing up our thumb seam. So just pull all the way through. Okay, and when you pull that together, you're going to see it start to bunch up, and this will be the tip of your thumb. See how that's coming together there? All right. Okay, so now you can see I'm just letting my needles just kind of lay in here as stitch holders, and that way they're not really doing anything. They're just they're out of my way. And we're going to go down through here picking up the stitches. So I'm going to turn this around to make it a little easier on me. And I can see right down the barrel here. So I'm going to pull that nice and tight. I'm going to go in to the other end of this one to get through these stitches and close that up. Okay. And we're going to secure that off. Let me go through one more stitch here. Make that nice and secure. Okay, so we're going to be going back and forth between these columns here. So you've got this long column of stitches here and this one here. And we'll be going in and through between these stitches here and picking up that bar that's in between. And it will make it look like we've got stockinette going on all sides of it, and it'll have a nice look to it. So we're just going to go right in with our needle in between and pull up, and there's a little bar between those V's. Going to pull our yarn all the way through and then go over to the other side, stick our needle in, go through and find that bar that's in between. Pull that through, pull that nice and tight, come on to the other side, and come down that same column and go in between. Oops. And pull it through, come to the other side, go right in between again, and continue going right on down. And alternate back and forth between these two columns until you get down to the base. Just a zigzag across. And you see when you draw it up together, it starts imitating that same stitch, like they're all pushed in together. So where it looks a little bumpy right now, as you go through and you pull these in, it will start to make it look just like the rest of this. So continue, pause your video, and I'll meet you back up when you're done with sewing in the thumb seam. See you soon. All right, we're down at the end here, and I've got this one little space left. I just want to go straight through. There's 2 stitches here. I'm going to go all the way through to the back. This will be on the inside of our mitt. And we're just going to leave this tail long, and you don't need your tapestry needle anymore for now. And just leave that alone, and we'll move on to the next section. Okay, we're on to the next section, and the instructions say with right side facing, join yarn to remaining stitches on stitch holder and knit to the end of the row. Well, what does that mean? Which stitch holder? I've left things on my needles and stitch holders, and I'm confused. Well, have no fear, this is what it means. The original stitch holder is this one over on this side, okay? So all I need to do is take my needle. If you've been working, like I suggested, with using the circular needles, then you're just going to feed it right back on, or you need to pick them back up from your stitch holder or scrap yarn and then put them on your needle with the point facing where the thumb area is. The other needle is going to have the point facing where the thumb area is, and you've got all your stitches on the needles. Now this thumb area you're just going to ignore, and we're going to start adding in some yarn starting on this needle over here. So grab your tail and hold it in the back right alongside of where your needle is, and then you can keep this tension nice and taut, okay, nice and tight. Gonna go into that first stitch just like you're knitting a regular stitch, yarn over, and then pull through that stitch here, and then let that go. And we're going to knit into the next stitch. Now you will knit across this entire row, and then we can weave in the tails later, but I want to teach you a little trick. So here's a trick on getting this tail woven in as we go. And if you can't do it, that's okay. It's a little bit more advanced, but I want to show it to you anyway because it's kind of fun that you can do this. So you're just going to stick your needles in to this next stitch, and then where you have this tail, so this is that free tail here, you're going to make your needle go underneath it first and then do your yarn over, okay? And then pull it through that stitch just as normal and then let it go, okay? So we knit the first one as normal, and then we did this little under over thing. So let's do this now again. We're going to do a normal one and yarn over, wrap around, and pull through a stitch. All right, now we're going to do this under over to weave in this tail. So we're going to go into the stitch as normal. We're going to point our tip under that tail and yarn over and then pull through. Okay, and then every other one you just knit as normal. So knit as normal. And then we're going to do the under over. So go into the stitch. We're going to go under the tail and yarn over and then pull it on through. And then let that go. So what it's doing is it's weaving it in the back part. You do not see it from the front. See that? It looks awesome. So you've got this little tail hanging on here, and you've already got it through the next few stitches, and you can just keep on going. If you got about 6 stitches, you're good. Go ahead and knit to the end of this row and pause your video, and then you can purl on the way back, and you will join me back here. Pause your video and meet me on the wrong side. And then we come to the thumb area. We're still on this row. All right, so I want to pick up stitches purl-wise. I'm going to insert the tip of my needle into this column here of knit stitches. I'm going to go right in here, and I want to make sure and pick up, go underneath a couple of these stitches and yarn over, just like I'm going to purl, and then push it right through to the other side. It picks up one stitch, and I make sure that that is nice and locked in. I've got this column here that's going to be secured in. I want to go down another column or two, and we're just making it evenly across, so I'm just kind of picking one here, go straight down in, and pick up one stitch and purl it, push it on through, and now I've picked up 2 stitches. And then we're going to move on to the other side and purl this next stitch on the needle. And this is going to join up our work. Okay. Just going to go all the way across. So we've got the base of our thumb, purl to the end of this row. Pause your video and I'll meet you back in a moment and we'll look at what we've done. We're just going to continue in stocking stitch until the work after the ribbing measures either 4 inches for the smallest size, 5.5, which on this one will be 5.5 here. I've got about another 1.5 inches, and on the medium, or 6.5 on the larger size. And we will end on a purl row, and so you will end back up on this side over here because you will have finished this row here. So go ahead and continue knitting across back and forth until you get the measured length that you need. Pause your video and we'll see you then. Okay, you've measured your desired length, and now we're going to work on shaping the top. The first row is your right side row, so you should have the right side facing here, and you're going to knit 1. And your stitch count should either be starting at 26 stitches, 34, or 38 stitches, depending on your size. So we're going to knit 1, and then we're going to knit the next 2 stitches together, and this is the start of where our repeat section is, where we have an asterisk. So knit these 2 stitches together, and then depending on your size, you're either going to knit 2, 3, or 4 stitches. For my size, the medium one, I need to knit 3 stitches, so just 1, 2, 3. Again, knit the 1 for your size, and then we're going to repeat in that asterisk section. So you're going to knit 2 together and then knit those 3 or the 2 or the 4, whichever one is on your size. So I'm going to knit, I'm going to knit 2 together here, 1, 2 together, and knit 3, 1, 2, 3. So we're going to continue that pattern until you have a few stitches remaining. It'll be anywhere from 2 to 3 depending on your size, and then you're just going to knit those last remaining stitches. All right, so continue going down your row and pause your video, and when you finish that row you will have either 20 stitches, 28 stitches, or 32. Come back and purl, and I'll meet you back at the other side after you've completed this pass and the purl row back. Okay, the third row, shaping the top, we're going to knit 1 and then knit 2 together, and then you're going to either knit 1, 2, or 3 depending on your size. I need to knit 3 on mine, so knit 1, I'm sorry, I need to knit 2, 1, 2. If you're the smallest size, knit 1, the larger size, knit 3. And then you're going to repeat that, so knit 2 together, and then knit that number that we use there. I knit 2, so mine's knit 2 together, and then knit 2. And then you're going to repeat that across the row until you have either 1 to 3 stitches remaining, and then you'll work those 3 stitches. So after you're done with this row, go ahead and purl on your way back. If you have the smallest size, you're going to meet us on the next column of information. Skip where it says sizes 8 to 10 years and adult only for 4th row, and then there's also an adult only section. So if you are on the middle size, then you're just going to keep going after we come back. Or the adult size as well. So pause your video and I'll see you soon. You should have 14 stitches, 22 or 26 stitches. I'm in the middle, so I've got 22. For sizes 8 to 10 years and adult only, we're going to purl, which we just did, and we're going to knit 1 for the 5th row, and then knit 2 together. And then for the smaller size, we just knit 1. And you've got 1 more to knit if you've got the adult, and you're going to repeat and just knit 2 together and knit the 1 or 2 for the adult, and repeat until you have no stitches remaining for the smaller size, which is the medium, or 1 stitch remaining, and you'll knit that for the larger size, and you'll have 15 to 20 stitches left. Then you'll pause your video and purl back for the for both sizes, and the adult will continue on. After this row here, the 7th row will be just the same as I did it for this smaller size. It will be knit 1, then knit 2 together, knit 1, and repeat knit 2 together, knit 1 until the end of the row, and you have 1 stitch left, and you'll have 14 remaining stitches on your needles when you're done with the adult one. All right, pause your video and meet back up. Just remember that knit 2 together, knit 1 or 2 for the adult on this row, and then the adult one will continue on. It's all written in your pattern, so be sure and print that out and have it next to you. All right, pause your video. I'll see you soon. Okay, so we have purled all the way back, all sizes. You either have 14, 15, or 14 stitches, depending upon your size left. The small is 14, and the large is 14, and the middle is 15. So all sizes, you've purled back. The next row is knit 2 together, and you're going to repeat this until all the stitches are done, or you have 1 stitch left on this medium size, and you'll knit that last stitch. And then we're going to finish it off just like we did on the end of that thumb, where we cut our yarn, break our yarn with the scissors, and draw it through with a tapestry needle, all the stitches left. And then we'll just sew the side seam. So I will show you how to sew that up, and we will also work it in the ribbing section because you haven't done that one yet either. So there'll be a reminder. If you didn't see it as well on the thumb section earlier, this will be a good spot to see that. Okay. Go ahead and break your yarn. Give yourself some extra to be able to sew that in. Your tapestry needle. And go ahead and make that through all the stitches. drawing it through. And then you can secure that up. And go ahead and take a moment to weave in your tails here, because we're going to sew in this side seam, and it's actually easier to go ahead and make our tails woven in. Do another one, and then we'll cut that off. Okay, and that's nice and hidden. And turn your work around upside down. And let's weave in this seam here. Let's sew up the side seam. Okay, we're going to connect this area here that we had gone all the way through the stitches and join it. And I'm going to join it all the way in the back. And just to make sure that it's nice and secure, turn it inside out and go through one of these stitches here. Make a loop here and then go through that. And get a nice secure base to just stitch into. Close that hole. And leave a loop and go through that loop. Okay, so now the end of my mitt is nice and secure. It's not open. And if there's any other gaps you see, then just go ahead and do that now. Okay, we're going to go through down the line here, and you can see with the stockinette, the stocking stitch, it's curling, and that's just the natural thing that happens. And we're going to be going along the ends here and going in between these stitches and picking up the bar that's in between. Let's go down this right side and pick up one of the stitches here, this back bar. Pull all our yarn through, and then go to the other side and do the same thing here. And go back and forth between these columns and picking up the stitch in between where these V's are. And I just take my tapestry needle and kind of work my way down in here and pick up. When I feel one of these bars coming through, I just go right through and pull on my yarn. And then zigzag over to the opposite side. And that's it. As you go, it's going to start making this same little column effect and make it look like there's not a seam here. And continue going back and forth and meet me back up when you get to your ribbing section. See you soon. All right, come to the end of your stockinette stitch, and you've got the seaming for the ribbing. The ribbing has the end where the knit stitches were, and you've got the purls in between. Okay, so we actually want to join up the legs of these stitches. Now, normally when they lay right, they look like these V's. They're actually facing this direction here, and this column is the same. But these two, which have these twisted looking stitches, we can actually put them together and work with the ends to make them look more like one of these columns. So we have to pick up the sides of the stitches. So we're going to the outside of this column and the outside of this column, and we'll be working our way around. So we're going to pick up this outside of this stitch here, where the bottom of that one is, and go to the outside of this column here. And pull all the way through. And then now we're on the left side here. We're going to go down through the outside of this one, and we're going to pick up going towards the inside of here to the outside of that column and around. Okay, so you can see how we're drawing it in a zigzag through, you know, kind of a serpentine, I guess, going around this way. And then we go down to the next one on the same side. So you go down. So you go up through one side and then go back down on the same side and over across to the outside over here. And whatever side you just came up, you're going to go on the same side and pick up that next stitch down and then go across and pick up the next stitch. You may have to kind of mess with it. There we go. Found the right one. And you can see how this is drawing these up and it's becoming more like these stitches. So just continue all the way down, picking up the outsides of the stitches in this column. And I will see you in a moment. We'll meet you back at the very bottom. See you soon. Okay, we're at the end. Pick up these last stitches. Be sure and get both of them. And now you've got this whole knit column. You haven't wasted anything at all. And then your seam is on the inside. And go back through one of these last stitches to join up and connect in the round. There we go. And now you can turn your work inside out a little bit. And we're going to finish stitching up on the inside here. And you can go right up one of these columns. I like to go along the right side and wiggle and whip around the side of these stitches. And by going up here, it actually keeps my ribbing section nice and stretchy. So we're just going around and through that stitch, around and through, around and through, and then we're going to just pull all that up. On that slack, and then turn it around and come back down on the other side and whip it around on the outside of that stitch. There we go. Okay, I'm just going to go through just a couple. Don't need to go all the way down. I'm going to clip that off, and then you have your last tail to weave in. Finish that off in a similar way. Next column down, and just go right around like we did before. Go ahead and clip it, and you can see it's nice and stretchy still. You have made your right mitten, you're going to go and do it again. You're going to make it the left side. So you'll need to pay attention to those written directions again, just a slight different on the stitch count, but for the most part, it's the same. I hope you enjoy making your mittens for your family and friends. On behalf of Yarnspirations and Good Knit Kisses, I'm your host, Kristen, wishing you happy knitting. Bye-bye.